Hey you guys, this is Professor Vitt, and I'm going to walk you through your final presentation. So, the title here on your first presentation packet is More Things in Heaven and Earth. And this is a quote from Hamlet, Shakespeare. And the general idea here is that I want you to start to think about the idea that there may be things in the world that you're just not aware of. And it doesn't make them any less real. It just means that you're just not aware of them. So I give you an example here. In 1964, this picture was taken. There was a girl. The Solway Firth Spaceman is what this is called, but this is kind of a swampy area. And this gentleman took a picture of his daughter. And there was no one around when he took the picture, and then later when they got it developed and it came back, they found a little spaceman there, kind of, I don't know, saying hello. For years people wondered about this picture, and to us maybe this seems a little bizarre, but it was profoundly strange when people encountered it, principally because there was really no reasonable explanation for what this thing could be. So immediately folks thought, well, this must be some trans-dimensional being or something like that, right? Let's get going, right? The idea is there are unusual things out there in the world, and you're going to be finding one of those mysteries, whatever it is. I've got a list of them for you to choose right down here, and you're gonna do a little presentation on it. You're going to become a modern truth detective, and I'm going to have you tell me whether or not you think there's any truth behind that claim. The number one thing here is to find something fun. I really want you to enjoy this project. Look, there are lots of things. I'll increase the font as we now roll through this. There are lots of things in life that you have to do, and they're not fun. Hopefully this is something that you can make into something fun and interesting. Okay, one absolute ironclad rule for this project: you cannot spend any money for it at all. Not a dollar, not a penny. Nothing of any value whatsoever. Don't give out any personal information. If you're going to email somebody, make up a fake email so you don't get spammed or weirdos contacting you for the rest of your life. Don't go anywhere undercover. Don't go somewhere alone. I've had students say, oh, I live right next to Rancho Los Amigos, or I live right next to this haunted house. There's fence all around it, and you're not supposed to go in, but can I go in? No, don't trespass. Don't put yourself at risk for anything for this project, right? You can do everything that you need to do for this exam, in your chair. So please don't take any chances. Now, there are lots of sort of fun and paranormal topics here. You can take your pick. If you see something that's not listed and you want to do it, you can email me and I'm happy to let you know. A lot of people do Tupac Shakur. The Black Knight satellite is one of the creepiest stories you'll ever hear. Apparently there's been a satellite that has been orbiting the Earth for several thousand years. We touched on homeopathy earlier. UFO abductions, always classic. Spring-Heeled Jack, we actually did. Mad Gasser of Mattoon. If you liked Spring-Heeled Jack, look at the Mad Gasser of Mattoon for a modern-day parallel. It's a fascinating story, and if you've ever seen the movie No Country for Old Men, the lead bad guy in that actually is drawn heavily from the Mad Gasser of Mattoon. In fact, even his weapon is the same. So UFO sightings are always great. I included some of the more famous or better ones here. Lonnie Zamoria, very famous. So any of these you can Google and you will come up with a myriad of results, right? Lonnie Zamora incident is great because it was this cop who was minding his own business in New Mexico. And dang it, wouldn't you know it, he sees a UFO, and essentially it ruins his life, right? He loses his job, and he said from years afterward, I wish I would have never said anything about seeing that stupid UFO. RB-47, this is a UFO case, which is one of the most famous UFO cases among UFO enthusiasts. Because of the quality of the evidence. You have, I think it's 6 military officers, and they're followed by an unknown craft for hours. I think it's 3 hours, and they travel 600 miles over several states, and none of them can figure out what it is that's that's chasing them. And there's also pretty extensive radar recordation of the object and its movements. So that's a fun case. Phoenix Lights is a super famous case. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all these. The Mandela Effect, an absolute classic now, an instant classic for the unexplained. The Skull of Doom, strange and interesting story. So any of these would work. Near-death experiences, communicating with the dead. Find something that you like and pursue that topic. Pursue that. If you can't find anything, I've requested. I've shown a couple of places here where you might look. A couple of these are all podcasts. I'm going to say this at the beginning, even though it's written down. This lore podcast is fantastic. If you like good, genuinely scary, true stories, lore is probably where you want to go. However, it's occasionally very graphic and profoundly disturbing. So if you are like me and you have a queasy tummy, I would probably steer clear of lore. It's not, a death fest or anything like that, but the stories are just very difficult, some of them. But they're great, and there are many, many episodes that could serve as a topic for you. Monster Talk Podcast. This is a science-based podcast where they tackle mostly some cryptozoology, but ghosts and things like that. It's really good. And one of the all-time classics, The Unexplained by Howard Hughes. This is a British podcast. It's put forth by Howard Hughes. He's been doing it for many years now. He works in professional radio, so he's actually a trained journalist, but for years he's always had an interest in the paranormal, and so he has slowly but surely accumulated, hundreds of podcasts with any different number of people who make paranormal claims. From conspiracy theories to, one of the best episodes he had was somebody who argued that Hitler was still alive or actually made it out of World War II. Very interesting topic. But if you like British accents and creepy stories, this is a great one. Okay, how are you going to do this? Well, you will make a presentation. You can do it in slides or PDF. I don't care. And then you're going to submit the PDF to me. So the reason why I don't have you upload the actual file is that presentation files are massive, and they also require that I have PowerPoint open, and it is far easier to process and grade and keep track of PDFs than it is to keep track of an entire PowerPoint file, which is a bit more unruly to open, and sometimes when they open they don't do the best job of converting and stuff, so you'll be turning in a PDF. Okay, where do you get this stuff? If you don't have access to PowerPoint, which some people don't, I would encourage you to go to google.com/slides and sign up. It's free. I'm not affiliated with Google. I don't get a dime every time somebody signs up. LBCC doesn't have any relationship with Google, but it's free and it's a way to do presentation software. But if you don't have PowerPoint, then you can use slides, and that's free. Okay, the next big point. How many slides does the presentation have to have? What does it have to look like, right? Okay, these are 11 points that you should cover in your presentation. Now, each one of these could be a slide. Sometimes you're going to require more than one slide. So, John Doe might need 2 slides to apply Occam's razor in his presentation, but, Juan Doe doesn't need that much. He just needs 1, but Juan might need another extra slide when he talks about the teapot and the burden of proof, right? So these are all different. This is just an outline, and yours is going to be, 1 or 2 more or less, right? So the minimum will be 15 slides, and that's probably plenty. Most presentations are about 15 to 20 slides, and those are good grades, right? Those are people who are earning high marks. If you end up researching something and it is just the most interesting thing and you really want to go beyond the 15 to 20 slides, please, feel free to knock yourself out and go for it. But this is, again, like with the paper requirement, it's a ballpark, right? 15 to 20 slides-ish. If you have 14 slides, am I going to die? Well, I don't know if they're very good. Maybe it's okay, but really your minimum should be 15 slides. Okay, sources. You're going to need to use some different sources. You can use Wikipedia. I don't have any problem with that, but you have to use at least 3 other sources. Now, if you're looking for some skeptical sources, here are some good ones. Skeptoid, it's a podcast by Brian Dunning. Skeptic, the Skeptic's Dictionary, that's what this website is. It is fun to look through that website. Mythbusters, this is another good place that you can start looking for some sort of unexplained mysteries that might interest you. Rational Wiki, this is kind of a catch-all for skeptical argumentation on the web. I've included Skeptic twice. I'm so sorry about that. Same website, right, in 2 and 5. Way to go, Professor Vitt. Detail-oriented, this guy. And then lastly, Metabunk, which is more devoted toward internet-based research, but is a fantastic site. You are not limited to skeptical sources at all, but I have had students who say, hey, I'm researching, the Loch Ness Monster, and I can find all kinds of great stuff about the monster, but I can't find any critical sources or skeptical sources. So that's why I include these here, because usually there are far more resources online that are non-skeptical. Grading. Your grading is based on the following. Did you address and answer the outline above, which is 1 through 11? Did you have enough information to conduct an analysis? Sometimes people will start and they go too quick on their history or context. And so when it comes down to providing alternatives or applying, maybe the reductio or Occam, they've just not pulled in enough facts to really flesh out the presentation and explain, what other alternatives it could be and so forth. So make sure you have enough info in there. So that's going to be half of your presentation. The other half will be how it looks, the presentation. Is it typo-free? And is it correct grammatically? Do we have, for instance, all kinds of typos? If you do, those are going to count against your grade. So it's only, 15 slides at a minimum. So make sure you check to make sure there aren't any major typos on your presentation. 1 or 2, I'm just not going to worry about it. But if there are major and systematic editing problems, then that'll definitely attack you, right? It'll definitely hurt. And then the last point is the presentation professional? Are the slides all one theme? I know this sounds like a strange thing, right? I don't all have to be one theme. I have had students in the past take different themes from different presentations, which were not their own, and then apply. So try to make it look like one presentation. I know that can be hard sometimes with different colored pictures and fonts and stuff like that, but just do your best there. All right, so that is essentially what you will be doing. It is not a Herculean presentation. You don't have to write a paper. You are only doing the slides, and the slides will have some text on them, but you'll also use pictures and stuff, so you shouldn't feel like you're obligated to write a paper. The work product that you have to produce is a PowerPoint or a presentation with slides. So don't feel pressed to say, oh, and by the way, look at my supplementary paper to help clarify these points. We're going to solve the Spaceman, the Soloway Firth Spaceman. This was actually a student and I were working on this very project, and the student had found this online. If you change the colors in this, you can see pretty quickly that, look, this is the little girl's mother right here wearing this dress. There's her hair and her arm. If you look at, and I don't know if you can see this print here, but if you look at the direct sunlight, the light hair, the color from the light hair gets reflected. And what has happened here is as the mother walked away, she kind of got whitewashed just based on the angle of the light. And so you can see, right, this here looks like a little spaceman. There's his face. But actually, this is not a spaceman. This is just the girl's mom walking away. So another mystery dashed. It's just an error in understanding what picture the photograph took. This picture, by the way, this mystery could have been solved had the father who took the picture been more forthright about the location of the mother when he took the picture. Now, it could be that he doesn't remember, of course. However, a lot of fuss was caused over this photograph, and it has a fairly straightforward solution. Now, your presentation may not have a straightforward solution, but I want you to come to some conclusion. I do not want a student to get to the very end and say, well, you know, who knows, so it's okay, whatever you think. You need to come down with a conclusion. You need to tell me, you know, what you think it was. That is most important. If you have any questions while you're doing this, don't hesitate. Go ahead and message me, and I would be happy to help. Okay, you guys, thanks very much.